Like this video if you believe in second chances, and share your thoughts in the comments below. The unseen illness. Mr. Vance, your results are perfect. There's nothing wrong with you. Dr. Daniel Romero closed the folder with a sigh. You're the 20th specialist to examine him in 2 years, and we all reach the same conclusion. Alexander. Alex Vance sat motionless in the Parisian consulting room, feeling the familiar dizziness begin to cloud his vision. His hands trembled as he gripped the arms of the chair. But doctor, you see what's happening to me. The dizziness, the exhaustion. His voice broke. There are days I can't even get out of bed. Dr. Romero, a 45-year-old Argentinian neurologist who had been practicing in London for 10 years, studied the gaunt face of the Brazilian entrepreneur. Alex Vance was only 38 years old, but he seemed to have aged a decade in recent months. Look, Mr. Vance, I've reviewed all the studies. MRIs, blood tests, electrocardiograms, everything normal. Perhaps you should consider seeing a psychiatrist. Alex stood up abruptly, feeling the world sway around him. A psychiatrist? Are you saying I'm crazy? No, not at all. I only suggest that sometimes the body reflects what the soul cannot express. But Alex was no longer listening. He walked straight out of the medical office into the October London rain, uncaring that he was getting soaked. He needed air. He needed to escape that feeling of emptiness that gnawed at him from within. He walked aimlessly through the streets of Shoreditch until the cold forced him to seek refuge. The neon sign of the Little Nook Cafe glowed through the curtain of water, and he pushed open the glass door without a second thought. The cafe was small and cozy, with wooden tables and wicker chairs that vaguely reminded him of something he couldn't quite identify. The aroma of freshly ground coffee hit him like a familiar caress. Bonjour, how are you? A musical voice with a Latin accent pulled him from his thoughts. Alex looked up and met the warmest eyes he had seen in years. The young woman who greeted him was about 28, with warm brown skin and a smile that seemed to light up the entire place. Her dark brown hair was pulled back in a high ponytail, and she wore the typical uniform of Parisian waitstaff. Coffee, Alex murmured, sinking into a chair by the window. The strongest you have. Sofia Ramirez watched him attentively. There was something in that man's posture that she recognized immediately. It was the same sadness she had seen in her grandfather's eyes before he died in Guatemala. That deep melancholy that no medicine could cure. You know what? She said as she approached his table. I'm going to make you something special. My grandmother always said that coffee should heal both the body and the soul. Alex looked at her with curiosity for the first time since he had entered. Where are you from? Guatemala, from Antigua. And you sound Brazilian. Sao Paulo, he confirmed, feeling a strange connection with this young woman he had just met. Sophia disappeared behind the counter and began to prepare the coffee with precise movements. Alex watched her work, noticing how she added spices from small, personal jars. The aroma changed, becoming more complex, more homely. When she returned with the steaming cup, Alex inhaled deeply before taking the first sip. The taste immediately transported him to his childhood farm in Brazil, where his grandfather had taught him to distinguish different types of coffee. What did you put in it? He asked, noticing that his hands had stopped trembling for the first time in weeks. Cardamom and cinnamon, like my grandmother did. And she always said that when someone has a wounded heart, the coffee should carry a little bit of love to heal it. Alex took another sip, feeling the warm liquid spread through his chest, alleviating that feeling of emptiness that had accompanied him for months. How did you know that my heart was wounded? Sophia sat in the chair opposite him, something she normally wouldn't do with a customer. I saw it in your eyes. It's the same look my grandfather had when he missed our homeland. Alex felt something he hadn't experienced in years. Genuine curiosity for another person. Have you lived in London long? 3 years. I came to study gastronomy, but it's hard. I work here in the mornings and study in the evenings. Someday I want to have my own restaurant. And do you miss Guatemala? Every day, she replied with a sad smile. But sometimes, you have to leave home to find out who you really are. Alex finished his coffee, feeling something he had forgotten. Hope. Not just because of the young woman's name, but because of the feeling that perhaps, after all, there was something that could cure him. "Thank you," he said, leaving a 50-pound note on the table. "Tomorrow, I'll come for another one of those coffees." Sophia watched him walk away in the rain and felt a strange premonition. That elegant man, with his expensive suit and sad eyes, hid a story she was only beginning to guess. Alex walked to his apartment in Kensington with a lighter step. For the first time in 2 years, his symptoms had completely disappeared. He didn't understand how, but that Guatemalan waitress had achieved what 20 medical specialists couldn't: make him feel human again. Lost and found roots. "Good morning, Mr. Vance." Sophia greeted him with a smile when she saw him enter the cafe for the 10th consecutive time. The usual special. 2 weeks had passed since their first encounter, and Alex had made the little nook a part of his morning routine. Every day he arrived at 8 o'clock sharp, ordered his coffee with cardamom and cinnamon, and stayed an hour conversing with Sophia in between her work intervals. "Please," Alex replied, noticing he no longer needed to cling to the chair to maintain balance. "And tell me, how are your studies going?" "Well, thank God. I'm in my final year of the evening program at Le Cordon Bleu, London. It's exhausting working by day and studying by night, but I'm almost done." Alex had learned that Sophia had been in London for 4 years, not 3, as she had initially said. She had arrived with a student visa and a partial scholarship that only covered half of her expenses. The rest she paid by working at the cafe and giving Spanish lessons on weekends. "And what kind of cuisine do you want to make when you finish?" "Latin American fusion," she replied as she wiped the next table. "I want to show Europe the flavors of our countries, but with French techniques. My dream is to open a small restaurant where people can try real Guatemalan food." Alex felt a pang of nostalgia. He too had once had similar dreams, before family responsibilities turned him into a pure businessman. "You know," he confessed, "I also come from a coffee family. My great-grandfather founded the Vance coffee plantations in the Brazilian coffee belt. But I sold everything 8 years ago to invest in real estate and technology." "And you don't miss coffee?" Sophia asked, sitting across from him during her 15-minute break. "I didn't know I missed it until you made me remember what it really tasted like," Alex admitted. "I've been so busy building an empire that I forgot why I was building it." Sophia noticed the melancholy in his voice. During these 2 weeks, she had learned that Alex lived alone in a penthouse in Kensington, that he worked 16 hours a day managing his investments, and that he hadn't spoken to his parents in New York since 6 months ago. "Do you have family there?" "My parents live in New York City. My mom, Catherine, keeps reminding me that I should be married by now. She has my marriage arranged with Amelia Davies, the daughter of some family business partners." "Arranged marriage?" Sophia frowned. "Is that still a thing?" "In families like mine, yes. The Davies have coffee plantations in the Colombian coffee region, and my mother thinks it would be the perfect union. But Alex stopped, realizing he was about to confess something very personal to a woman he barely knew. "But you what?" Sophia encouraged him. "But I don't feel anything for Amelia. She's a good woman, educated, from a good family. But when I'm with her, I feel the same emptiness that has been killing me these 2 years." Alex's phone vibrated insistently. It was his assistant reminding him he had an important meeting in an hour. "I have to go," he said, standing up. "Thanks for the coffee, and for listening." "I'll be waiting for you tomorrow," Sophia replied, feeling something strange in her chest as she watched him walk away. That same afternoon, Dr. Romero received an unexpected call. "Doctor, this is Alex Vance. I wanted to thank you for your advice on seeking psychological help. Did you find a good psychiatrist?" "Not exactly." Alex smiled on the other end of the line. "But I did find something that's helping me. My symptoms have improved remarkably." Dr. Romero, intrigued by his patient's inexplicable recovery, decided to investigate on his own. During the following days, he discreetly followed Alex from his office and discovered the daily visits to the small cafe in Shoreditch. When he saw the interaction between Alex and the young waitress, the doctor immediately understood what 20 medical specialists had missed. Alex's illness was not physical, but emotional. His symptoms were the bodily manifestation of a deep existential void, and that young Guatemalan woman had managed to connect with the humanity he thought he had lost. The heart's diagnosis. "Sophia, we need to talk." Chloe, her co-worker, intercepted her during the shift change. "That customer with the special coffee, that elegant man who comes every day. What's up with him? Google his name. Alex Vance. He's a millionaire, Sophia. He has businesses across half of Europe and Latin America." Sophia felt the world spin. For 3 weeks she had been conversing with Alex as if he were a normal man, just another expat in London who missed his homeland. "Millionaire," she whispered. "Super millionaire. He was in Forbes 2 years ago. Don't you think it's strange that a guy like that comes to this neighborhood cafe every day?" That night, Sophia couldn't concentrate on her studies. She searched for information about Alex online and discovered that Chloe was right. Alex Vance was the heir to a family fortune he had multiplied tenfold in recent years. There were articles about his investments, his properties, and also about his arranged engagement to Amelia Davies. But what perturbed her most was finding information about the history of the Vance coffee plantations. In the historical archives, she discovered that, indeed, Alex's great-grandparents had owned properties not only in Brazil, but also in Guatemala during the 1950s and 60s. Thousands of Guatemalan families, possibly including her own, had worked as laborers on those lands. History was repeating itself. A Vance had noticed a Guatemalan, but this time she had the power to decide how the story would end. The next day, when Alex arrived as always at 8 o'clock, Sophia received him with a more tense smile. "Is everything all right?" he asked, noticing the change in her attitude. "Yes, everything's perfect," she replied, but her voice sounded distant. "Your usual coffee?" Alex felt that something had changed, but he didn't dare to ask. For the first time in weeks, his hands began to tremble slightly as he held the cup. The secret was out, and both knew that their small world of morning conversations was about to change forever. The diagnosis of the heart. "Romero, I need to see you urgently." Alex dialed the Argentinian neurologist's number with trembling hands. 3 days had passed since Sophia had begun treating him with that strange coldness, and his symptoms had returned with force. "Of course, Mr. Vance. Can you come this afternoon?" 2 hours later, Alex found himself back in the familiar consulting room. But this time, Dr. Romero had a different expression on his face. "Mr. Vance, I've been reflecting on your case. Have you had any significant changes in your routine lately?" "Why do you ask?" "Because when you called me 3 weeks ago to cancel your follow-up appointment, you told me you felt better. Now you're back with the same symptoms. As a doctor, I'm intrigued to know what changed." Alex shifted uncomfortably in the chair. He didn't know how to explain to a neurologist that a Guatemalan waitress had managed to cure him with coffee and conversation. "Doctor, do you believe in inexplicable connections between people?" Dr. Romero leaned forward, intrigued. "Tell me what happened." Alex told him everything. The casual encounter at the Little Nook, the morning conversations, how his symptoms had completely disappeared for 3 weeks, and how they had returned when Sophia began to distance herself. "Mr. Vance," the doctor said after listening attentively, "your illness is neither neurological nor physical. It's existential. Your symptoms are the bodily manifestation of a deep emotional void. This young Guatemalan woman has achieved what we could not. She connected with your humanity." "Are you saying I'm in love?" Alex asked, though deep down he already knew the answer. "I'm saying you found something that gave you back the meaning of being alive. That can be love, purpose, connection, or all of them together. But if you lose it again, I'm afraid your symptoms will worsen." Alex left the office with a certainty that both terrified and thrilled him. He was madly in love with Sophia Ramirez, and for the first time in years, that scared him. Meanwhile, Sophia had made her own decision. After 3 sleepless nights, obsessively researching the Vance family, she had discovered details that had left her breathless. The archives of the National Archives of Central American History confirmed that the Vance coffee plantations had employed thousands of Guatemalan workers between 1950 and 1960. Wages were miserable, conditions deplorable, and many families had lost their ancestral lands when they couldn't compete with the large estates. Her own grandmother, Sophia Ramirez, after whom she was named, had told her stories about those difficult years, when men from the village would go to work on the foreign-owned farms and return sick and penniless. "Is it possible that my family worked for his?" she wondered, as she looked at the black and white photographs of Guatemalan workers on coffee plantations. But there was something else that perturbed her. In recent weeks, she had begun to feel something for Alex that she hadn't felt for any man since Carlos, her teenage boyfriend, who had left her when she decided to go to London. "I can't fall in love with him," she repeated to herself while studying in her small Brixton apartment. "We are from completely different worlds." On Friday morning, Alex arrived at the Little Nook, determined to face the situation. Sophia was preparing coffee for other customers, but when she saw him enter, her heart involuntarily sped up. "Sophia, we need to talk," he said when she approached his table. "I know something changed between us." "I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Vance," she replied, emphasizing the formal address. "Mr. Vance?" Alex felt a pang in his chest. "A week ago I was Alex to you." Sophia looked around, making sure her boss wasn't near. "I researched you," she confessed in a low voice. "I know who you really are. I know you're a millionaire, that you have an arranged marriage, and I know about your family's history." "What history?" "The plantations in Guatemala. The workers they exploited for decades. My own grandmother told me about those years." Alex felt as if he had been punched in the stomach. "Sophia, I didn't know." "Didn't know what? That your family got rich from the labor of people like mine? Or didn't know that I would discover the truth?" "I didn't know my great-grandfather had owned properties in Guatemala," Alex replied sincerely. "When I inherited the business, I only focused on the Brazilian plantations. I sold everything without investigating the full history." Sophia studied him, looking for signs of lies, but found only genuine confusion and pain. "Look, Alex," she sighed, returning to the informal name. "Even if you didn't know, the reality is that we're from different worlds. You have responsibilities to your family, to your future marriage. And if I didn't want that marriage?" Alex interrupted her. "And if I told you that these last few months have been the only ones I've felt truly alive?" Sophia felt her legs tremble, but she stood firm. "Your mother would never accept me. Your family would never accept me. And I can't live being the woman who destroyed someone's life." "Sophia!" Alex wanted to protest, but he saw the determination in Sophia's eyes. It was the same strength that had led her to leave Guatemala to pursue her dreams. And he knew he couldn't change her mind. "At least tell me if you feel anything for me," he asked as a last resort. Sophia closed her eyes for a moment, fighting back tears. "What I feel doesn't matter," she whispered. "Some stories aren't meant to have a happy ending." Alex nodded slowly, understanding he had lost the battle. He stood up, left 50 pounds on the table, and walked towards the door. "Sophia," he called before leaving. "If you ever change your mind, you know where to find me." She didn't respond, but when Alex disappeared into the London rain, she finally allowed the tears to roll down her cheeks. That night, both understood they had made the most difficult decision of their lives. Alex, because he had lost the only thing that gave meaning to his existence, and Sophia, because she had given up the first true love she had felt in years. When love isn't enough, 2 weeks passed without Alex returning to the little nook. Sophia pretended she was glad, but every morning at 8 o'clock sharp, she instinctively looked towards the door, expecting to see his elegant figure, seeking refuge from the London rain. "You're more distracted than ever," Chloe, her co-worker, told her as they cleaned tables at the end of the shift. "Still thinking about your millionaire?" "He's not my millionaire," Sophia replied dryly. "And no, I'm not thinking about him." But it was a lie. She thought about Alex all the time, about their morning conversations, about how his eyes lit up when she told him stories from Guatemala, about the way his hands had stopped trembling when he drank his special coffee. Alex, for his part, had returned to being the ghost he was before meeting Sophia. His symptoms came back with a vengeance, constant dizziness, extreme fatigue, and that feeling of emptiness he now knew only she could fill. His employees began to worry when he started canceling important meetings and staying locked in his office for hours, simply staring out the window. "Are you sure you're well, Mr. Vance?" His personal assistant, Marie, an efficient French woman who had been working with him for 3 years, asked him, "Would you like me to schedule a doctor's appointment?" "No, Marie. Doctors can't cure what I have." His phone rang insistently. It was his mother from New York. "Alex, darling, Amelia is very worried. You haven't called her in 2 months. What's going on with you?" "Mom, I need time to think." "Time to think? You're 38, Alex. Amelia is perfect for you. She's educated, from a good family, and she's willing to move to London after the wedding." "What if I don't love her?" Catherine Vance sighed on the other end of the line. "Love is built, darling. Your father and I didn't know each other when we got married, and look what a solid marriage we've had. Mom, things have changed. I want to marry for love." "Love? With whom? Don't tell me you fell in love with some French woman." Alex thought of Sophia and felt a pang in his chest. "No, Mom, she's not French." "Then what are you waiting for? Marry Amelia before she gets tired of waiting for you." After hanging up, Alex made a decision that surprised even himself. He booked a flight to New York for the weekend. He needed to see Amelia face to face and end that charade once and for all. On Saturday night, in an elegant restaurant in Manhattan's Upper West Side, Alex found himself sitting across from Amelia Davies. She was exactly as his mother described her: beautiful, educated, from a good family. But when he looked at her, he felt absolutely nothing. "Alex, I'm so glad you came," Amelia told him as she delicately cut her salmon. "Your mother told me you've been very stressed with business." "Amelia, I need to be honest with you." Alex put his cutlery on the table. "I can't marry you." She looked at him surprised, but not hurt. "There's another woman." Alex nodded slowly. "Yes, but it's not what you think. She doesn't want to be with me. She comes from a very different world from ours." Amelia smiled with understanding. "You know what, Alex? I'm relieved. I didn't want this marriage either. There's someone else in my life too, but my parents would never accept him because he's a literature professor and has no money." Both laughed, feeling like teenage conspirators. "So, what do we do?" Alex asked. "We face our families together. It'll be easier if we tell them we mutually decided we're not compatible. The conversation with his parents was harder than expected. Catherine Vance cried for an hour, while his father, Robert, remained silent, smoking his pipe. "I don't understand, Alex," his mother kept repeating. "Amelia is perfect. What more could you want? I want to feel what you felt when you fell in love, Mom. I want to wake up every morning excited to see the person I love." "And does this woman make you feel that?" his father finally asked. "Yes, Dad, but she thinks we're too different." Robert studied him with piercing eyes. "Different how?" Alex told them about Sophia, deliberately omitting the detail about the Guatemalan plantations. He told them about her strength, her intelligence, how she had managed to cure him when 20 doctors had failed. "She's a waitress, isn't she?" Catherine asked disapprovingly. "She's a gastronomy student. She works as a waitress to pay for her studies." "Alex, my son," his mother sighed. "A Guatemalan waitress? Have you gone mad?" "She's not mad, Catherine," Robert surprisingly intervened. "If a woman managed to cure him of that strange illness he had, perhaps we should get to know her before judging her." Alex looked at his father with gratitude, but he knew the problem wasn't his family. The problem was that Sophia had made her decision, and he had to respect it. Back in London, Alex tried to resume his normal routine, but everything reminded him of Sophia. He walked through Shoreditch, avoiding the little nook, but the entire city seemed imbued with her memory. One afternoon, while checking emails in his office, Marie entered with a worried expression. "Sir, you have a call. It's a Dr. Romero, I think. He says it's urgent." Alex took the phone with a racing heart. "Doctor, what's wrong?" "Mr. Vance, I've been thinking about your case. Could you come see me? I have a proposal to make." An hour later, Alex found himself back in the Argentinian neurologist's office. "Mr. Vance, as a doctor, I've seen many illnesses, but I'd never seen a love that literally cured someone. Your case has changed my perspective on medicine." "Doctor, Sophia has already made her decision. She wants nothing to do with me. What do you want?" "I want to fight for her, but I don't know how." "She's right. We're from very different worlds." Dr. Romero leaned forward. "Mr. Vance, have you ever considered that perhaps the problem isn't the differences between your worlds, but that you are living in the wrong world?" Alex looked at him, confused. "What do you mean?" "I mean that perhaps the solution isn't to convince Sophia to fit into your world, but for you to find a way to build a world where both of you can be happy." Those words were etched in Alex's mind for days. What if, instead of trying to make Sophia fit into his life, he created a completely new life? For the first time since he had lost her, Alex began to feel something akin to hope. The road back. 3 months had passed since the last conversation between Alex and Sophia. She had finished her studies at Le Cordon Bleu, graduating with honors, and had found work at a prestigious restaurant in Mayfair. But the nights were still long, filled with memories of morning conversations and special coffees. "Sophia, this arrived for you," Pierre, the executive chef, told her, handing her an elegant envelope. A messenger had left it. Inside, she found a letter from the Culinary Institute of London, offering her a full scholarship to specialize in international fusion cuisine. It was exactly what she had dreamed of, but the timing confused her. She had never applied for that program. That same afternoon, her phone rang with an international call. "Sophia Ramirez, this is Dr. Daniel Romero. I'm a neurologist here in London. Could we meet? It's about Alex Vance." Sophia felt her heart stop. Did something happen to him? "He's alive, but I need to talk to you. Do you know the Philosopher's Table Cafe in Westminster? Tomorrow at 2? Dr. Romero waited for her at a secluded table, with 2 cups of coffee already served. He was a man in his mid-40s, with a grizzled beard and kind eyes behind glasses. "Miss Ramirez," Thank you for coming. I'm the doctor who has been treating Alex. How did you find me? He talked about you a lot. It wasn't hard to locate you. Sophia felt uncomfortable. Doctor, I can't help him. Our story ended months ago. Your story ended, but the consequences didn't. The doctor leaned forward. Sophia, I can call you that, right? Alex is sick again. His symptoms returned worse than before. But why are you looking for me? You're a doctor. Because I've understood something none of my colleagues did. Alex doesn't have a physical illness. His symptoms are manifestations of a deep existential void. You cured him once, and now you need to know that you have a responsibility towards him. Sophia stood up, annoyed. Responsibility? Doctor, I didn't ask to cure anyone. I just served him coffee. Please sit down. The doctor spoke firmly, but not unkindly. I don't blame you, but I want to tell you something you might not know. Sophia sat down reluctantly. Alex broke his engagement with Amelia Davies. He confronted his family, lost some important investments because he can't concentrate, and has been spending his fortune on something I think you should know about. On what? The doctor pulled out a tablet and showed her several articles from Guatemalan newspapers. Read this. The headline spoke about a fair trade program that was revolutionizing the coffee industry in Guatemala. An anonymous investor had been buying land from large landowners and returning it to small local producers, in addition to establishing a direct trade system that eliminated intermediaries. I don't understand. What does Alex have to do with this? He is the anonymous investor. He has spent almost half of his fortune on this project during the last 3 months. Sophia felt breathless. Why would he do that? Because he investigated his family's history and discovered what the Vance coffee plantations did in Guatemala between 1950 and 1960. He found records of exploited workers, displaced families, stolen lands, and decided it was time to pay that historical debt. Tears began to roll down Sophia's cheeks. But that doesn't change anything between us, doesn't it? The doctor studied her. Sophia, that man has given up everything he knew to build something new. He's not trying to drag you into his world. He's trying to create a world where both of you can exist. Where is he now? In Guatemala. Antigua, specifically. He's been working with local cooperatives for 2 months. Sophia closed her eyes, feeling her world waver. Doctor, even if that's true, I can't. The scholarship you received today wasn't a coincidence, he interrupted. Alex arranged it, but not to push you away, but to give you options. He wants you to pursue your dreams, with or without him. How do you know about the scholarship? Because he asked me to deliver it if you didn't respond to his letters. What letters? The doctor took an envelope from the inside pocket of his jacket. The ones he didn't dare to send. That night, in her small Brixton apartment, Sophia read the 5 letters Alex had written, but never sent. In them, he told her about his trip to New York, the breakup of his engagement, his family's reaction, and his decision to travel to Guatemala. The last letter was dated just a week ago. Dear Sophia, I'm writing this from Antigua, in a small hotel near the Central Market. Yesterday I visited the La Esperanza Cooperative. Yes, it's named after you, and it's no coincidence. I met Mr. Ricardo Ramirez, your father. I didn't tell him who I was, only that I represented investors interested in fair trade. He's an incredible man, Sophia. Now I understand where your strength comes from. I've learned that true love isn't about possessing someone, but about creating the conditions for that person to be happy. If being happy means you continue your studies in London and never see me again, then that's what I want for you. But if there's a part of you that believes we could build something together, something that honors our roots and our dreams, then I'll be waiting for you. Not in London, not in my old world, but here, in this land that connects us both. With all my love, Alex. P.S. I've attached the documents for the land that belong to your family. I've put it in your parents' name. It's not a gift or a bribe. It's justice. Sophia trembled as she finished reading. The documents confirmed that the small plot her family had lost 20 years ago, due to debts now legally belonged to them. Again, she stayed awake all night, thinking about Alex working under the Guatemalan sun, about her father reclaiming his ancestral land, about all the families who would benefit from the fair trade program. At dawn, she made her decision. She called the Culinary Institute of London and asked to defer the scholarship for 6 months. Then, she booked a flight to Guatemala City for that same afternoon. She had to see with her own eyes what Alex had built, and she had to discover if true love could really overcome the differences that once seemed impossible to bridge. As she packed her suitcase, Sophia smiled for the first time in months. She was going home, but this time she wasn't fleeing from something. She was going towards something, towards someone who had shown that love is built with actions, not just with words. The love that heals worlds. The bus snaked through the mountains of Guatemala, while Sophia looked out the window at the landscapes that had marked her childhood. 4 years had passed since her last visit, and now she was returning with a heart full of questions and hopes. When she arrived in Antigua, she took a taxi to the family home on the outskirts of the town. Her mother, Mrs. Elena Ramirez, almost fainted upon seeing her arrive unannounced. "Sophia, my dear daughter," she hugged her tightly. "What are you doing here? Is everything all right in London?" "Everything's fine, Mom. I just needed to come home." Her father, Mr. Ricardo Ramirez, arrived from the fields with dirt-stained hands and a smile she hadn't seen in years. "Dad, you look different," Sophia noticed. "Happier. It's because of the land, my daughter. We got the plot back. Can you imagine? After 20 years, our land is ours again." Sophia feigned surprise. "How was that possible?" "A miracle," her mother intervened. "A Colombian businessman. A very good man. He said his organization was paying historical debts of his family. He didn't want money. Nothing. He just gave us the papers and taught us new cultivation techniques." "What's his name?" "Alex. Something." "Alex Vance," her father replied. "Sophia, that man is an angel. He talks about coffee as if it were poetry, and when he mentions a young Guatemalan woman who lives in London, his eyes shine in a special way." Sophia felt her heart race. "He talks about a Guatemalan in London?" "Yes, he says a Guatemalan woman saved his life. That she taught him that coffee should heal both the body and the soul. Isn't that beautiful?" That night, after dinner with her family, Sophia went for a walk through the town. Everything seemed the same, but there was a different energy in the air. Small producers spoke enthusiastically about fair prices, direct export, and a better future for their children. Sophia? Sophia Ramirez? A familiar voice made her turn. It was Maria, her best friend from adolescence, now married with 2 small children. "Maria, how are you?" "Very well, thank God. You know what's happening here? It's incredible. My husband joined the new cooperative, and we already earned 3 times more for our coffee. Do you know the man who organized all this? Alex? Of course. He's very humble, nothing like the rich people from before. He lives in the hotel downtown, but he eats at the market fondas like anyone else. And Sophia?" Maria lowered her voice. "He always asks about someone named Sophia. He says he met a Guatemalan woman in London who changed his life." "Where can I find him?" "Early tomorrow. He's always at the La Esperanza Cooperative. It's the farm that used to belong to the Ramirez's." Maria paused. "Wait, weren't you the Ramirez's who lost that land?" Sophia nodded, feeling all the pieces of the puzzle finally click into place. At dawn, Sophia walked towards the farm, that had belonged to her family for 3 generations. The path wound between coffee plants that now grew greener and more abundant than ever. When she reached the top of the hill, she saw him. Alex was working side by side with a group of farmers, his hands stained with dirt, his hair longer and his skin tanned by the Guatemalan sun. He wore a simple cotton shirt and work pants, nothing like the elegant suits from London. But what impacted her most was the expression on his face. For the first time since she had known him, Alex seemed truly at peace. "Alex," she called softly. He slowly straightened up, as if he had heard a voice in a dream. When their eyes met, time stopped. "Sophia," he whispered, unable to believe she was really there. The farmers realized something special was happening and discreetly moved away, leaving them alone among the coffee plants. "What are you doing here?" Alex asked. Approaching slowly, "I came to ask you why you did it," she replied, looking at the land that stretched at their feet. "Specifically what?" "Everything. The land, the fair trade program, giving up your life in London." "Why?" Alex was silent for a moment, searching for the right words. "Why did you teach me that true love isn't about possessing, but about giving? Why did you show me that real wealth is in human connections, not in bank accounts? And why?" His voice broke slightly. "Because I love the woman who saved my life, and I wanted to save her family's life too." Sophia approached him, touching his face with hands that now smelled of earth and coffee, like when she was a child. "And your family? Your mother?" Alex smiled. "My mom came to visit me a month ago. She met your parents, tasted the coffee you grew up drinking, heard your grandmother's stories." "Sophia," she cried when she realized she had been blind her whole life. "Really? She told me that if I was smart enough to fall in love with a woman who could heal with love, then she was smart enough to accept that she had been wrong her whole life about what truly matters." Sophia felt tears begin to roll down her cheeks. "Alex, I've also been sick these past few months. I couldn't sleep, couldn't concentrate. I thought about you all the time. And now I think that maybe, just maybe, we could try to build something together, something that honors our roots and our dreams." Alex took her hands, feeling the tremor that had returned during months of separation finally disappear. "Sophia, I've been sick again during our separation, but this time I used that illness as motivation to create something meaningful. I wanted to show that love is built with actions, not just with words." "What exactly are you proposing?" Alex looked at her with eyes bright with possibility. "That we get married here, on this land that connects our stories. That we open a restaurant in London that serves the best coffee in the world and tells the story of how love can cure the incurable. That we build a bridge between our worlds. And the scholarship in London? The scholarship is still there whenever you want to take it. We can go together, or you can go alone, if you need time. I've already learned that loving someone means wanting them to be happy, with or without me." Sophia looked at him for long seconds, seeing in his eyes the same light she had seen in the Parisian cafe, but multiplied by 1,000. "Yes," she whispered finally, "but with one condition, whatever it is, that we promise our children will know these mountains, that they speak Spanish and English, that they know true love knows no borders or social classes." Alex hugged her tightly, feeling years of existential emptiness fill with purpose and hope. "I promise you that, and more," he whispered in her ear. "I promise that every day I will show you that love can heal any wound, overcome any obstacle, and build any dream." That night, under a Guatemalan sky full of stars, in the same place where the coffee she used to cure him had grown, Alex knelt in front of Sophia. "Sophia Ramirez," he said, offering her a ring made with Guatemalan gold that he had commissioned at the local market. "Will you marry me and help me build a life that honors both your land and mine. Alex? She looked at the ring. Then she looked at the man who had given up his entire old world to create a new one, where both could be happy, and finally allowed herself to believe in happy endings. Yes, Alex Vance. Yes, I will. Epilogue. Café La Esperanza. Where love heals 3 years later, the aroma of Guatemalan coffee and the sound of conversations in Spanish, French, and English filled the air of Café La Esperanza, located in the heart of Shoreditch, central London. The restaurant had opened its doors 18 months ago and had already become a meeting point for the Latin American community in the city. "Alex, coffee for table 7, Sophia shouted from the kitchen, where she directed a team of 5 chefs specializing in Latin American European fusion cuisine. Alex smiled as he prepared the house-special coffee, a blend of Guatemalan and Brazilian beans with a touch of cardamom and cinnamon. At 41, he looked younger and healthier than ever. His hands no longer trembled, and that empty gaze of the past had been replaced by a contagious energy. "Here you go, Madame Dubois," he told the regular customer, a French literature professor who came every morning. "How are your Spanish classes going?" "Better every day, thanks to Sophia's lessons. My pronunciation of the R is still terrible, but I can already hold basic conversations." Sophia appeared, wiping her hands on her apron, her belly already showing the first signs of her 4-month pregnancy. "Madame Dubois, did you try the new dish? It's chicken pepien with French techniques." "Delicious as always. Sophia, every day your creativity surprises me more," Alex observed his wife with pride. After their marriage in Guatemala, Sophia had completed her specialization in London for 6 months, while he finished establishing the Fair Trade program. When they returned to London, they had used Alex's savings and a bank loan to open the restaurant. The success had been immediate. Café La Esperanza was not just a restaurant, but a cultural center that offered language classes, Latin American music nights, and a space where immigrants could feel at home. "Alex, your mom's here," Sophia announced, pointing to the entrance. Catherine Vance, now 62, entered the restaurant carrying market bags. 2 years after meeting Sophia, she had made the decision to move to London to be close to her son and daughter-in-law. "Mija," she greeted Sophia in a local Guatemalan dialect she had learned during her multiple trips to Guatemala. "I brought fresh herbs from Borough Market." "Thanks, mother-in-law. How was your cooking class at the community center?" "Very good. The Guatemalan ladies are teaching me how to make authentic caquic. Who would have thought that at my age I'd learned so many new things?" Alex hugged his mother, remembering how difficult the family transformation process had been. Catherine had needed time to accept that her son had chosen a different path than the one she had planned. But when she saw the happiness in Alex's eyes and personally met the Ramirez family, all her resistance had vanished. "Where's Dr. Romero?" Catherine asked. "He said he'd come for lunch." "He should be arriving soon," Sophia replied. "Today's Thursday. He always comes on Thursdays after his last consultation." As if invoked, Dr. Daniel Romero entered the restaurant, accompanied by an elegant woman in her 50s. "Doctor," Alex greeted him. "How are you?" "Very well, thank you. I want to introduce you to Dr. Anya Sharma, my fiancée." Dr. Anya Sharma was an Australian psychologist who had arrived in London the previous year to work on a mental health program for immigrants. She had met Dr. Romero at a medical conference and discovered they shared a passion for helping the Latin American community in France. "It's a pleasure to meet you," Anya said. "Daniel doesn't stop talking about you and how your story changed his perspective on medicine." "The pleasure is ours," Sophia responded. "Dr. Romero was the one who helped us find each other again." While the doctor and Anya sat at their usual table, Alex took a moment of calm to check the day's mail. Among the business letters, he found one that made him smile. It was from Mr. Ricardo, Sophia's father. "What does Dad say?" Sophia asked, approaching. "That the cooperative already has direct contracts with 3 more European countries, and that your younger brother, Carlos, wants to come study business administration here in London." "Seriously? How wonderful." The fair trade program Alex had established in Guatemala had expanded to other Central American countries. What had begun as an act of historical reparation had become a sustainable model that benefited thousands of producing families. "Look at this." Alex showed her another letter. "It's from the London School of Economics. They want us to give a conference on social enterprise and sustainable development." "Us? At LSE?" "Both of us. They want to hear the complete story. How love can be a driver of social transformation." Sophia laughed, remembering how far they had come since that rainy day, when Alex had entered the little nook, looking only for a strong coffee. In the afternoon, after closing the restaurant, Alex and Sophia walked towards their apartment in Islington. They had bought a larger place when they decided to start a family, but it was still modest compared to the penthouse Alex had once owned. "Do you ever regret it?" Sophia asked him as they walked hand in hand. "Changing your life so much, I mean." Alex stopped and looked at her tenderly. "Regret it? Sophia, before I met you, I had money, properties, a successful company, but I was dying inside. Now I have less money, work more hours, and have to worry about employees, suppliers, customers. But every morning I wake up excited to live, and when the baby arrives, it's going to be even more complicated. It's going to be perfect." Alex put his hand on Sophia's belly. "Our child will grow up hearing stories in 3 languages. He'll know the mountains of Guatemala and the streets of London. He'll understand that true love knows no borders." That night, as they dined on their apartment terrace overlooking the London rooftops, Sophia prepared Guatemalan coffee and poured 2 cups. "You know what Dr. Romero told me today?" Alex commented. "That he had never seen such a complete medical recovery as mine. My checkups show I'm healthier than I was 10 years ago. Love heals, remember?" Sophia smiled. "My grandmother was right. 20 doctors failed," Alex said, repeating the phrase that had become part of their personal story. "But a waitress achieved the impossible." "It wasn't the waitress who achieved the impossible," Sophia corrected, as she always did. "It was true love." Alex hugged her, breathing in the aroma of coffee and cardamom that he now permanently associated with happiness. "And that love will never let us go," he completed, kissing her softly. From the terrace, they could see the lights of London shining in the distance, but they could also close their eyes and feel the mountains of Guatemala, the coffee farms of Brazil, and all the love stories that connect hearts across oceans and borders. In 6 months, Alexander Ricardo Vance Ramirez would be born, a child who would grow up hearing stories in Spanish from his Guatemalan great-grandmother and learning about coffee from his Brazilian grandfather, a child who would understand from a young age that true love can heal any wound and build bridges where others see only differences. And every morning, when Alex and Sophia opened the doors of Café La Esperanza, they knew they were offering something more than food and drink. They were offering hope, connection, and living proof that sometimes happy endings do exist in real life. What did you find most inspiring about Alex and Sophia's journey? Share your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more uplifting true stories. And click the end screen to watch another amazing tale.